The message from my mother lit up my screen just as we passed the Space Needle. Seattle's skyline glimmering in the morning sun. Lena, about our 30th anniversary celebration this weekend. We've had an overwhelming response from your father's tech partners. Regretfully, we'll need to rescind your invitation. You understand, right? We simply don't have space for extras. I turned my gaze from the text to the reflection on the tinted window of my Bentley. Across the street stood the chrome and glass headquarters of Zenith Logic, the AI firm I founded at 27. In exactly 90 minutes, I would finalize the quiet takeover of my father's failing enterprise, Halberd Systems. He had no idea. Miss Tran, my chief of staff's voice echoed through the car's speaker. The board is assembled for the emergency call. Status of Halberd, I asked. Shares dropped another 12% this morning. I smirked. That invite had already been shredded in my downtown penthouse 2 hours ago. He still believes he's meeting Zenith's anonymous CEO about a bailout? Yes, ma'am. He thinks it's a male investor from Singapore. I laughed softly, recalling the last dinner at my parents' Bellevue estate. My father had boasted about his upcoming meeting with the elusive tech mogul behind Zenith. The founder never shows their face, he said, swirling his wine. Definitely not someone like Lena, still messing around with her little startup toys. Little did he know, my toys had become an AI empire valued at $9,400,000,000, 0 cents. Meanwhile, Halberd Systems, once a hardware giant, was hemorrhaging money and relevance. Lena, my mother had sighed that same night, you need to grow up and take a serious role. You could help your father if you stopped playing CEO. As my car slid into Zenith's secure underground lot, my team was already waiting. Ari Mendoza, head of finance, handed me his tablet. Halberd just lost another $80 million, 0 cents in market cap. They're begging for a rescue. We're not here to rescue, I said, fixing the cuffs of my tailored navy suit. We're here to rule. The boardroom atop Zenith Tower had a panoramic view of Puget Sound and the Olympic Mountains. My father was already seated, fidgeting in his worn blazer, flanked by aging executives. The CEO will arrive shortly, my assistant said. Thank God, he muttered. I was already standing 3 feet away. He just didn't recognize me without the family label. Yeah. We need this bailout. Zenith Logic is our last shot. I stayed silent at the far end of the sleek glass conference table, watching my father shift uncomfortably in his chair. He'd never attended a single product demo, never bothered to watch one of my AI keynote speeches. To him, I was still the girl who chose software over socket wrenches, algorithms over assembly lines. Will the CEO be joining us soon? He asked, voice strained, eyes darting around the room. The CEO is already here, I said, rising from my seat. He turned, confusion, disbelief, then pure shock. Lena? What are you doing here? Where's Mr. Zen? You're looking at them, I replied evenly. Though you might have figured that out, had you ever once asked what I actually do. His face drained of color. On the wall behind me, the twin stock tickers told the story in brutal contrast. Halberd Systems plummeting, Zenith Logic climbing. This can't be, he whispered. You write code. You're not. Not what, Dad? I interrupted. Not capable, not successful, not someone you'd bother inviting to your big anniversary gala? Across the room, Halberd's CFO stared at his phone, eyes widening as articles about Zenith's elusive founder filled his screen. But your little AI thing, my father sputtered. Posted $2,100,000,000 and 0 cents in revenue last quarter, I finished. That's more than Halberd's earned in 5 years. The little thing you called a phase is now reshaping your entire industry. Just then my phone buzzed, a message from my mother. Darling, don't be hurt about the party. We just had to maintain appearances. I turned the screen so my father could read it. His jaw clenched. Well, I said calmly, since we're talking appearances, let's look at Halberd's future. The giant display lit up with projections, profit margins, and a very red trend line. As you can see, I continued, Halberd has bled market share every year since 2012. Refusing to innovate doesn't make you loyal, it makes you obsolete. Line, we've been building hardware for 4 decades. my father protested weakly. In a world that's moved on, I said, pulling up another chart. While you were clinging to the past, we were redesigning it. The room fell silent. Because sometimes the uninvited daughter is the one who rewrites the guest list. The very AI systems he mocked at family dinners were now the backbone of his company's future, if it had one. My phone buzzed again, another message from my mother. Your father's business partners are thrilled about the party. The governor will be in attendance. Surely you understand the need for selectivity. I tapped the screen and projected the message onto the boardroom display. Around the table, Halbert's executives shifted uncomfortably as they read it. Perfect timing, I said smoothly. Would that be Governor Richards, the one who just greenlit Zenith's $200 million 0-cent smart tech hub last week? My father's face lost all remaining color. You? Know the governor? Know him? I'm his top donor, I replied. I've also delivered the keynote at his last 3 fundraisers. Not that you'd know. Family invites weren't exactly going both ways. Ari stepped forward, folder in hand. Miss Tren, the acquisition documents are finalized. Ready when you are. My father's voice cracked. Acquisition? Zenith Logic has been buying Halbert shares quietly through various shell corps for over a year, I explained, eyes never leaving his. As of this morning, we control 48%. Today's vote is to offer terms for the rest. Across the room, executives scrolled through headlines now exploding across financial news feeds. Zenith moves to acquire Halberd Systems. My father's hands trembled as he opened his own stock app. The price, it's rising, he whispered. I nodded. The market rewards good leadership. Which brings me to staffing. I turned to the stunned execs. Those wishing to remain will need to re-interview for their positions. We don't tolerate legacy favoritism here. My father bolted upright, red creeping into his cheeks. Now just a minute, young lady. You lady? I cut in sharp and cold. It's Miss Tran. Or CEO Tran. This isn't Thanksgiving, it's a boardroom. Another notification blinked on the display. My mother again. We've finalized the guest list. 300 elite attendees. The Grand Plaza will be the event of the season. I smiled faintly. About the Grand Plaza? I tapped on a document. Nova closed on that property last month. Renovations start today. Right on cue, my phone rang. I answered and pressed speaker. Miss Tran, we've arrived at the ballroom. Shall we begin? If you're just as curious as my father is about what happens next, hit subscribe and join me for the moment he realizes the ballroom isn't his anymore. Miss Tran, the hotel manager's voice echoed through the speakerphone. Construction crews have arrived on site as scheduled. Shall we begin renovations? Proceed, I replied smoothly. I believe there was an event planned for Saturday. Please ensure full refunds are issued and all guests are notified of the cancellation. From across the boardroom, my father leapt to his feet. You can't do this. The governor, the city's top CEOs, Seattle's elite will all be there. You mean my partners? My donors? I tilted my head. I think they'll understand. After all, isn't it you who always said business comes before pleasure? The room fell utterly silent. His executives shifted uneasily, watching the power dynamic rearrange itself in real time. Their careers now depended on me, not him. Now, I said, voice calm and decisive, shall we negotiate the terms of Halberd's acquisition, or wait until bankruptcy makes the choice for you? Just then, the glass doors flew open. My mother barreled past security, her heels clicking furiously against the marble. Lena, she gasped, waving her phone. The Grand Plaza just canceled our event. Do you have any idea what this means? The governor, the mayor's wife, the Hendersons. She stopped mid-rant, finally registering the room. My father slumped at the table, his executives pale and silent, and me, standing at the head of the boardroom like I belonged there. What is going on? She stammered. This, mother, I said, is a board meeting where your uninvited daughter is acquiring dad's company. Please, have a seat. My assistant appeared instantly with a chair. My mother sank into it, clutching her pearls like they might save her. As I was saying, I resumed, Zenith Logic is prepared to offer a generous valuation for the remaining shares. I named a figure. Audible gasps followed. That's more than fair, one board member mumbled. My father could barely hold his water glass. But, what situation? My mother cut in. What is she talking about? He couldn't meet her eyes. The company. It hasn't been doing well for years. I projected the most recent reports. 3 months from bankruptcy, the only thing keeping your stock afloat is us. Bankruptcy? My mother shrieked. But the country club membership, the anniversary party, your reputation, your entire sense of status, I said softly, built on a crumbling foundation, just like your assumptions about my career. My phone buzzed again, this time with breaking news alerts. Zenith Logic to acquire Halberd Systems. AI powerhouse enters legacy manufacturing market. Lena Tran, from family outcast to industry force. Your jet is prepped, Miss Tran, my assistant announced from the doorway. Tokyo board is expecting you for the merger briefing. Jet? My mother echoed faintly. Yes, mother, that little project you called a phase. It pays for quite a few toys. I turned to my father's stunned executive team. For those interested in staying post-acquisition, Zenith offers world-class benefits, competitive salaries, equity packages, premium healthcare, and for certain roles, access to our corporate fleet. Suddenly, they were all sitting straighter. My father looked around the room as if realizing he no longer recognized the people who once answered only to him. The contracts, I said. Ari began distributing thick envelopes around the table. Standard acquisition agreement, I continued. We'll keep the Halberd name for legacy's sake. Fitting, isn't it? The daughter you thought was irrelevant is now the only one holding the lifeline. Lena, my mother started, her voice suddenly softer, calculated. Darling. About the anniversary party. Perhaps we can reschedule, I offered. She perked up. Of course, after the hotel renovations, shouldn't take more than 6 months. I paused, then added with a hint of irony, the new Zenith Logic Innovation Center should be open by then. Might even make a fine venue, if you're invited. We'll need space for important guests, after all. The low hum of jet engines grew louder. Everyone turned toward the glass wall, watching the sleek Zenith-branded jet touch down on the private airstrip visible in the distance. My father leaned forward. Is that our corporate fleet? I confirmed. Though you might have known that if you'd ever asked what I do. The room shifted. Executives were now openly Googling me, some already updating their LinkedIn profiles, clearly hoping to survive the impending restructuring. You have 1 hour to sign, I said, gathering my documents and tablet. After that, the offer expires, and we'll let bankruptcy handle the rest. We'll acquire the assets for pennies. My mother blinked rapidly. And the anniversary party, I gave a cool smile, is the least of your concerns right now. I glanced at my phone, though, interestingly, most of your guests have already RSVP'd to Zenith's annual charity gala next month. Amazing how fast people update their calendars when the guest list changes. I stood, buttoned my jacket, and turned to leave. Dad. I paused. Remember when you told me I'd never understand real business? That tech was just a trend? He gave a slow, defeated nod. Next time, maybe look up from your outdated quarterly reports, I said. While you were guarding your ego, your disappointment of a daughter built something you couldn't even imagine. Outside, the growing thunder of jet engines filled the sky. Zenith's signature aircraft circled in, impossible to ignore. Just like me now. Miss Tran, my assistant called from the doorway. Tokyo's waiting. I turned back for one final glance. Mother, I say I'm sorry about the anniversary party, but business comes first. Isn't that what you always told me? That I say I'm sorry about the anniversary party, but business comes first. Isn't it? As I stepped out, I heard my mother's faint voice behind me, disbelief softening her tone. Little this time, while we were uninviting her, she was buying us out. My father finished, voice heavy with understanding. The elevator ride to the rooftop helipad was quiet. My helicopter awaited, blades already spinning. From there, it would be a short flight to the private airstrip where my jet was prepped for Tokyo. Sometimes, success doesn't knock. It flies in unannounced, carrying acquisition papers, restructured power, and a lifetime's worth of clarity. They had uninvited me from their anniversary celebration. I had canceled it by buying the venue. Because sometimes, the best response to rejection isn't anger or revenge. It's triumph so undeniable it turns rejection into irrelevance. As the helicopter lifted off, I saw them one last time. Small figures behind glass, staring at the future they never saw coming. They wanted space for important guests. They just never imagined their daughter would become the most important one of all. They had uninvited me from a party. So I invited them to witness something better, what success truly looks like. And as my jet ascended into the clouds, bound for Tokyo, I left behind a family finally realizing the power of the daughter they once dismissed. I couldn't help but smile, because sometimes the uninvited guest doesn't crash the party. She buys the venue and rewrites the guest list. That's not revenge, that's strategy, that's business. At 40,000 feet, the sky stretched endless around us. I sipped espresso, flipping through the finalized acquisition documents on my tablet. Then my phone buzzed. One last message from my father. Lena, I just signed the papers. You outmaneuvered me completely. I spent years trying to teach you business, but you mastered in ways I never understood. Your mother's still in shock. Governor Richards just called to congratulate us on joining your empire. He sounded impressed. I think I finally understand what success really is. I typed back slowly. Success isn't about being invited, Dad. It's about vision, grit, building something extraordinary even when no one believes you can. See you at the shareholders meeting. No RSVP needed, your attendance is mandatory. Jessica glanced up from across the aisle. Ready for Tokyo? Always, I said, watching the Pacific shimmer beneath us. After all, uninvited daughters make the best CEOs. We're the ones who learned to build doors where no one offered an entrance. They told me I didn't belong, that I was too quiet, too different, too focused on things no one else understood. And yet, here I am, leading an empire built on those very things they overlooked. If you've ever been underestimated, sidelined, or excluded from your own family's table, then you already understand. This isn't just my story. It could be yours too. I didn't fight for revenge. I built for clarity. I didn't demand their recognition. I created something so undeniable they couldn't ignore it. And if you're out there building something while the people closest to you still don't believe in you, keep building. Don't wait for their approval. Let your work be your voice. Let your future speak louder than their doubts. I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Tell me what you're building, what you're dreaming of, or how you've risen past rejection. Tell me what they said you couldn't do, and what you're doing anyway. I'll be reading every one. And if my journey hit something in your heart, if you saw yourself in my quiet strength, my long hours, my silent victories, subscribe. Not just to follow my story, but to remind yourself that quiet power is still power, that the best CEOs aren't always born into boardrooms. They rise from rejection, from being overlooked, from being told no one too many times. You don't need to be invited to the table. Sometimes you build the whole damn building. So walk with me. Let's turn rejection into reinvention. Let's make silence our strategy. Let's show them what happens when the